Alright, so this video is over classifying 3D figures. The first thing we'll look at is some review of our two-dimensionals. So remember that two-dimensional figures have a length and a width typically. The perimeter is the amount of space or distance around the figure. Labels are to the first power because it's the calculation of length, which is 1D. The area is the amount of space inside the 2D figure. Labels are to the second power, or squared, because it's the calculation of a length and a width, so 2D. So of course this first one is a triangle. It's got 3 sides, 3 vertices, and 3 edges. Edges and sides are really the same thing. So 4, 4, and 4 for square. Pentagon is 5. So just reviewing some vocabulary. Hexagon, there's 6. Heptagon is 7. Octagon is 8. Think of an octopus. Nonagon is 9. Starts with an N, so it's a little easy to remember that way. Decagon is 10. And those are the ones that you're responsible for at this time. So moving on to the three-dimensional figures. Three-dimensional figures with straight surfaces are called polyhedrons. Prisms have 2 parallel and congruent bases. Parallel means that they will not intersect each other. The sides of the prism will always be rectangular. Pyramids only have 1 base, and the sides of those are always triangular. So we're going to name each figure by its base shape and the number of bases it has. Meaning if it has 2, it's going to be a prism. If it has 1, it's going to be a pyramid. And there are some three-dimensional figures with curved surfaces. They are not polyhedrons because of those curved surfaces. And you've seen many of these before: cylinders, cones, and spheres. Cylinder has 2 bases, just like a prism, except because of that curved surface, we call it something special. Cone has 1 base, just like a pyramid, but again, because of that curved surface, we call it something different. A sphere has no base. Every point on it is the same distance from the center. That's one that you see all the time in real life. It's like the ball. So here's some pictures. This is a rectangular prism. The base is a rectangle. That's why we call it a rectangular prism. There are 2 bases. So typically I will shade my bases. Vertices. Okay, the vertices are the points. So there are 4 points on the base, 4 points on this base. That makes 8 total. Lateral faces do not include the bases. So your lateral faces are basically all your sides. So this front and this back and this left and this right. So there are 4 of those. Edges are a little bit trickier. Sometimes it's easy to count, but it's a little bit better if eventually you can get to where you visualize it. There are 4 edges on the top, 4 edges on the bottom, and then there's 4 edges connecting those vertices. So 4 times 3, that's 12. A triangular prism is called a triangular prism because its base is a triangle. Even if it's not sitting on its base, that triangle is still the base. Every prism has rectangles, so you don't name it a rectangular prism just because it has rectangles. You name it based on that oddball shape, which in this case is a triangle. So we have a triangle base. There are 2 of them, which is why it's a prism versus a pyramid. Vertices, 3 at the top, 3 at the bottom. Lateral faces are the ones that are not bases, so a left and a right and a back. There are 3 of them. Edges, 3 for the top base, 3 for the bottom base, 3 connecting those vertices. So 3 times 3, that gives me 9. Pentagonal prism. Prism means it has 2 bases. Pentagonal means that the base is a pentagon. Okay, so here's my pentagon base. Vertices. There are 5 around the top and 5 around the bottom. Even though you can't see it, it's still a vertice back there. So that makes 10 total. Lateral faces. Okay, all these rectangles, those are your lateral faces. Remember me saying that every prism has rectangles? Well, that's your lateral faces. This is your base because it's that oddball shape. So there are 5 lateral faces. You can't see 2 of them because they're in the back. Number of edges, 5 around the top, 5 around the bottom, 5 around the center. So 15 total. Now we're moving on to our pyramids. It's called a pyramid because it only has one base. It's called rectangular because that base is a rectangle. Vertices, 1 at the top, 1, 2, 3, 4 at the bottom. Lateral faces are the triangles in this case. Okay? Anything but the base is our lateral faces. So I've got 4 of those. Edges, there's 4 around our base, and there's 4 going up to my top. So 8. Again, triangular pyramid. Since it's triangular, that means the base is a triangle. Pyramid means there's only 1. So that's showing you that this base down here is a triangle. On our vertices, we have 1, 2, 3, plus our top. 4 total. Lateral faces are the triangles, but not the one at the bottom, because that's a base. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Number of edges, 3 around the bottom, 3 going up to your point. So 6. Okay, so that's all for these notes. There'll be 2 more videos for the other 2 notes that we were covering on this day.